Anyway, I have survived it, mostly by ignoring it, and I've even been passing in school. So other than my girlfriend dumping me and my car needing a new muffler, I've got no major gripes. When Marie, one of the servers, a real veteran, she's been there about 4 months, she asked me could I pick up for her on Saturday because she's got a chance to go to Florida for the weekend and catch some rays. Saturday is my day off and I'm not aching for more hours. I've got finals coming up. But I can use the money, and Marie asked real nice, smiling, and I would have to call her very good looking, real cute. In fact, she's extremely hot, so I say sure, I will work her shift. Who knows, I'm thinking, maybe we can go out when she gets back, with a tan, and all that gratitude. So things are maybe looking up. Saturday comes, the alarm rings, I get up, shower, put on my uniform, the little hat, the vest, my white shirt, name tag, bow tie, brown pants, and go to work. There isn't much shaking before the crowds arrive. I help set tables, blow the dust off the blue and yellow plastic flowers, shoot the bull with the other employees. No big deal. Then Jackie, who is working that shift, asks me what the 2 cop cars are doing out in the parking lot. I take a look out the window and tell her I don't know. Maybe the donut shop across the street is closed. Jackie laughs and slaps my arm and we go back to work. But then I see the cops are inside, just kind of standing around. Well, now everybody in there is on edge, wondering what these guys are up to, 4 of them, with their guns and nightsticks and badges and long faces. They didn't come for the buffet, that's for sure. We open at 11 on Saturday. About 1:45, 2 of the cops start a private conversation with Jackie. I mean, it looks like they're grilling her, and I'm not making any steak joke there. Nobody's laughing at this point. You put 4 uniformed cops in just about any room, and it's enough to kill the laughter, believe me. What I do is I try to set tables over near where they are. I play with the silverware and the cups and saucers to see if I can hear anything. I can't imagine Jackie being in trouble for anything. She is one of those people I would call too nice, which is why she's working in a place like this, trying to support her 2 kids all by herself. She works here, has to put the kids in daycare, which costs almost as much as she earns. Whew, one more time. I don't want any part of a life like that, not if I can help it. And I'm switching spoons and knives around, trying to overhear what they're saying, when the other 2 cops come up to me, ask my name, and tell me they'd like a few words with me. What? All I can tell you is I felt like my entire blood supply rushed out of my body. I don't know where it went, but it was gone. I was lightheaded. I could hardly speak. There was a ringing in my ears. I felt like I couldn't move, and if I tried, I'd fall down. I hadn't done anything, I knew that. But just them stepping up to me like that, I got real frightened about something I must have done or might have done. It was very weird. I try to shake off this terrible apprehension so I could listen to what they have to say and tell them I haven't done anything, maybe be helpful. But instead of asking me any questions, one of the cops reads this document to me. It turns out that the restaurant is pressing charges against Jackie and me for stealing, for theft. They think I'm a thief. I'm the most astonished guy in the world, believe me. I was so nervous I started laughing. You boys are talking to the wrong guy, I said. But they wouldn't listen, and they weren't laughing. They served me with a summons to appear in court for stealing money, and I stood there with this piece of paper in my hand and my mouth open, wondering if handcuffs were next. No handcuffs, but Mr. Vernon, the general manager of the entire region, he's Eddie's boss. I haven't seen him twice the whole year I've been there, I swear to God. Mr. Vernon appears. He's wearing a blue suit, those black wingtip shoes, and in front of everybody he terminates Jackie and me and tells us we're to vacate the premises immediately, and that failure to do so will result in our arrest for trespassing. Holy shit. Everybody was staring at us. Jackie burst into tears. This was like the worst dream in the world come true. I was numb, stunned. I got my things and walked out to my car. I'm not sure how I made it that far. I looked at the summons in my hand, saw my name on it. I read it. The exact charges against me were, in that the defendant unlawfully took control over, or exercised control over, movable property at, the name of the place that I can't mention, with intent to deprive them thereof. In that, on the above date, the defendant knowingly and deliberately deleted items from checkout using a coded ID number to invalidate receipts and then pocketed the money from the receipts deleted in the sum of $83.95. I kept reading this over and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand the words and I couldn't figure out what it was saying. I was being fired and arrested for something I didn't even know how to do. The way I felt about this, I couldn't begin to tell you. Helpless, I guess, and confused. And scared, like a guy who's been hit by lightning. I've heard about that. You wake up on the ground, you're dazed, bleeding in several places, no feeling in others, your socks and shoes, belt, watch, rings are blown off and melted. That's how I felt. I drove home. I figured I would have to tell my dad, and I wasn't looking forward to it. Chances were excellent that by the time I got there, Dad would be just waking up with one of his monumental hangovers, where he looks like a recent traffic victim, and his temper is not good. I've learned to avoid him when he's like that. Mom left him because of it, but now I had no choice. My dad is another one of the great inspirations of my life. He started out low, grubbing for what he could get, and he clawed his way up after 25 years to a semi-decent job. Everything depends on seniority, how long you can hold on. He hates to go to work every day, takes unlimited shit from his bosses, but he hangs on and worries at the end of each month if he will be laid off or fired. He drinks a lot to keep from thinking too much. Thinking is what kills you, he likes to say. He thinks I'm wasting my time in school. He had money to help me with tuition and books, but he bought a new car instead and sold the old one instead of giving it to me. Yeah, I look at him and I'm inspired. I never, ever want to be like that. He was sitting in the kitchen behind a cup of instant coffee in his t-shirt, his hair messed up, unshaven, smoking a cigarette, face lopsided, eyes bloodshot. What a classic. It would be funny, that picture, if it wasn't so sad, if he weren't my dad, and if I didn't have such terrible news. I broke it to him, and he amazed me. My father, who never supports me in anything. My father, who's always the first one to get on my case about anything. My father, who is nothing more than a drunken, broken-down old hillbilly who got separated from his ancestral tobacco farm, and without it really hasn't got a clue in the world. My father backed me up. He actually believed me. Those bastards, he said when I told him. He called them a few other choice words, too. They ain't got any sense in the world. They're all egg suckers, and you should consider it an honor to be fired by the likes of them, is pretty much what I remember Dad saying. I felt so happy that he wasn't yelling at me that I almost forgot about that being fired was just the half of it. I was also under arrest. My God, what could happen there? Could they put me in jail? Later, Dad fell asleep on the couch, and I pretty much sat there all afternoon staring at that summons and then looking over at my dad, who was snoring, and trying to figure out what happened and what I was going to do. I didn't come up with anything useful. Then Eddie called around supper time. Dad had gone out to work. The last thing he'd said was that we should sue the bastards for destruction of character. Eddie said that he had heard about my problem. That's what he called it. I told him I had no idea what it was about, that I hadn't taken anything. I swore to God I hadn't, and he said he'd get back to me. He called about an hour later and said he'd be setting up a meeting for the next day, Sunday, with me and himself and Mr. Vernon. I said okay, I'd come if I wasn't going to be arrested for trespassing. He said no, that was okay, I could come, I wouldn't be arrested. We'll get to the bottom of this, he said, and I said okay. And I thanked him for calling, and I hung up the phone, but I really wasn't eager to get to the bottom of anything. I just wanted to make the whole awful thing go away like it had never happened. In fact, I was sort of wishing I could make my whole life go away, if I could.